political meaning.
NEDA became a heroine not because she was different, but in fact she shared the same desires with millions of young girls who live around the world. They all want the same thing.
But what did make NEDA different from those millions of other young girls was her exceptional courage and strength. And in June of last year, that strength was put to the test. The hardline incumbent, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, was seeking re-election to the presidency. The whole process was suspect from the start.
Most of the manipulation and fabrication have happened before the elections. Ahmadinejad had access to government resources. He went around the country and spent money like there was no tomorrow. He was paying people hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to vote for him. Building schools here and there, building roads all over the country. And they didn't even care about finishing the roads. They just started the roads in order to get the votes.
بحث آب آشامیدنی روستای سید احمد خمینی تصویب شده امسال انشالله بهتون میدن. آقای سیادی چشم مخلص شما هم هستیم.
But that was just the beginning. 475 people, including members of parliament and former ministers, had put their names forward as potential challengers. But after the all-powerful Guardian Council had worked through the list, only 3 opposition names were left. All of them, or so it seemed, safe establishment figures: Mousavi, a former prime minister, Karoubi, a former parliamentary speaker, and Rezai, the former head of the Revolutionary Guard.
This was not a revolution in the making. This was simply an election under the rules established by the Islamic Republic.
And NEDA, like millions of other young people, would have nothing to do with it.
She used to say the election has been decided. The election is futile. It's obvious that Ahmadinejad will be president. The person who has most followers will never be president here.
Then something remarkable happened. For the first time ever, rival candidates went head-to-head with Ahmadinejad in a series of televised debates. They attracted huge audiences.
What those debates did was define for people what they disliked about Ahmadinejad. I mean, he came across as a deeply, deeply unpleasant character, very certain of his own position, conceited, and quite abusive to his opponents. He threatened to reveal various dossiers about Mousavi's wife. He said, "Shall I reveal the file? Shall I reveal the file?" Mousavi quite rightly said, this is exactly what we don't want. We don't want government officials to build up dossiers about the citizens and then threaten to reveal them. I think people then realised that this was almost like a fight to the death. I mean, when the stakes became really high and they realised this wasn't just a piece of theatre, they thought, well, let's go and vote.
Even before the first debate was over, people were celebrating in the streets.
NEDA had been at our house during the TV debate. After that, she, my husband, and I drove through the streets. NEDA called Mum and told her, "You're missing these scenes. Everybody is out." And Mum complained, why didn't we fetch her? It's very sad when you see that joyful week and you realize what finally happened.
But for that one week, the atmosphere on the streets was euphoric.
People thought that some changes can happen inside the country. And because of that very little change that they were hoping for, they were so jubilant, they were so happy. It was like a party scene for about 2-3 weeks before the elections.
This smallest hope that something could change had created an enormous energy among the younger population. After the 4 years of despair that had befallen the country, we are claiming our own destinies, and that was exciting.
Mr. Ahmadinejad supporters were also in the street, and it was amazing to see how both sides respects each other's choice, that, okay, this part of the street is for us, that part is for you, you know, and there were no police, no authority, but people were so good together. It was such an amazing experience for all of us.
Mir Hossein Mousavi soon emerged as the opposition frontrunner, attracting massive crowds to his rallies. But it was his wife, Zahra Rahnavard, who gave real luster to his campaign, even holding rallies of her own. A woman playing a major role in a political campaign. This really was a breakthrough in the Islamic Republic of Iran. June the 12th, Election Day. There was real optimism in the air, and people were off to the polls early in the morning. Then suspicions started to build. Opposition candidates complained that their phone and email communication had been obstructed, and their observers denied admission to the polling stations.
NEDA went with Mohammed to 3 voting stations, but there were no representatives for the opposition candidates. She clashed with the people there. She said, well, whose representative is here? And they said, just the representative of Ahmadinejad. She said, this is nonsense, and she didn't vote.
That evening, while people were still voting, the Basij raided Mousavi's headquarters and closed it down, confiscating files and documents. The evidence was captured on cell phones.
They started a mass arrest of political activists all around the country. If you think it was a healthy election and you are the president of the country, why this?
And just 2 hours after all the polls had closed, state television announced that Ahmadinejad had secured over 60% of the votes already counted and was heading for a resounding victory. In the early hours of the following morning, Ahmadinejad's victory was confirmed.
How did they know that he had won by 63% when they hadn't even started counting? And you know, that 60% turned out to be the final result. You know, this is some kind of fortune telling.
In my country, still they are counting the votes not by computer or any digital device, but people see them counted. But this time, in like 6 hours, they finished. Without computer or anything, how is it possible?
All sorts of things build up to a case for a serious, serious mishandling of events and a rigging of the elections.
NEDA was so angry that she argued with me. You told me that Mousavi would win. What happened?
What was shocking to the population was that even the limited choice that was supposedly given to them was fake.
If the rigged election was not provocation enough, on the following evening, Sunday, June 14th, police and the Basij militia mounted an attack on Tehran University. One of the aggressors was so appalled at what they were doing that he recorded the attack on a cell phone and later posted his evidence on the web. 5 students were killed, over 130 arrested and imprisoned. The next day, some of the largest crowds ever seen in this city finally rose in protest, and NEDA was there from the start.
She joined the others in protest because she felt the Iranian people had been insulted. Even if she hadn't voted herself, her mother, her sister, and her friends had voted.
And you could see this millions of people. I think I saw at least 2 or 3 million people on the streets of Tehran on June the 15th. They came out to the streets and demonstrated peacefully. In those 4 days, I think we really witnessed the maturity, the political maturity of Iranian people. They knew what they wanted. They just wanted the reversal of votes, that they didn't want Ahmadinejad as their president. They said that we have to be quiet, we have to be very peaceful, because we don't want the government to have an excuse to treat us violently.
I could not see where the crowd started and where it ended. I was just gazing at them and said that many people. Hands, I got so enthusiastic, I just shouted, "I love you people! I'm so proud to be one of you!"
I saw representatives of all parts of the societies. Women who had covered themselves with the chador, girls who were more open, boys who were wearing short sleeves, men with large beards.
All ages, all classes, and even religious, non-religious, all of them. You see families. Or a very, very old woman I saw, she was about 90 years old. She could hardly walk, but she came.
The most important part was the silence. They decided that silence would speak for them. So they didn't shout slogans, they didn't say death to this, death to that. They just held up their hands, showing the victory sign.
And it was the women who set the tone.
The women's participation was absolutely exceptional. They were leading the protests.
You see at the forefront of the struggle, not just modern secular women, young women like NEDA, you see women wearing the veil and being very traditional, side by side with these other women.
Women at the forefront, and the young.
NEDA symbolizes a generation that this election was all about, and this green movement was all about. She was a young girl trying to get more freedom. She didn't want to take power. She wasn't looking for politics. She wasn't looking for anything other than some individual freedom and some freedom of speech, basic rights. That's why she crystallizes all those hopes and dreams that were shattered after the election.
And NEDA was on the protests every day, sometimes with her sister, her brother, even her mother. And on one of those days, 3 Bastiji women approached NEDA.